Oh, welcome to Channel Zero TV with John and John. I'm John,
And I'm John.
and today we've got a special musical treat, a number from that 1966 beloved band Dino, Desi, and Billy, a set of hardscrabble kids who came up the hard way. John, you want to tell folks a little bit about this band?
Well, they may as well have been called the Legacies. Dino is, of course, Dean Paul Martin Jr., the son of the Dean Martin. Desi is, of course, Desi Arnaz Jr. And Billy is Billy Hinch, a kid they met at Loyola High School in Los Angeles. They formed this trio and had a couple of hits in the top 100. They had a recording contract with Frank Sinatra's home label, Reprise Records, and they recorded tonight's song.
Song is actually not something they wrote. It's actually a number from one of our favorite musicals. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. And when we come back, we'll talk about both the band and that show. So on to Dino, Desi, and Billy with It's Superman.
It's the Birds.
No, it's some other group.
It's an intercontinental ballistics missile.
No, it's Superman. Who is the man you can't ignore? It's Superman. From Budapest to Baltimore, it's Superman. His figure whirling around my brain, a creature science can't explain. It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superman. Who is the man you can't forget? It's Superman. Who's faster than a superjet? It's Superman. Nobody knows how this can be. A man as brave and good as he. Who is the man of mystery? It's Superman. Nobody knows how this can be. A man as brave and good as he. Who is this man of mystery? It's Superman.
Hey, so baby, what are you up to? You can't land here. Oh well. Bye.
Now, as you note, the footage was, of course, from the 1960s TV Superman, which we will not be talking too much about. But the music that came from Dino, Desi, and Billy, we should note John mentioned that Dino, of course, son of Dean Martin, Desi, the son of Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball, and Billy, their friend, was, I guess, as well as being their classmate, I guess he was a real estate guy who sold real estate to both the other kids' parents. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, notably, Billy Hinch is remarkable because he's one of the few Asian Americans playing in an all-up mid-60s marquee rock and roll band. He was, I believe, born in Manila and emigrated with his parents at an early age to this country. The legend has always been that Dino, Desi, and Billy never played their own instruments in the studio. And it's sort of like self-evident in this particular song because it's just so lushly over-orchestrated. There's about 6 different instruments going on there.
And the band, I mean, first of all, we should note these kids were about 15 when they started, got a break from Dino's friend Frank Sinatra, and then did go on to play warm up with the Beach Boys, and they had a good run, if I recall.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, Billy Hinch actually, was good enough to end up playing with the Beach Boys during the '80s, filling in various gaps in that lineup, and he was known as a session musician. He became quite a pro, so there was some talent in this band. But I mean, otherwise, at this point in their careers, it's pretty much a shining example of the enduring power of leverage and connections.
Well, yeah, I know they played a number in the Matt Helm picture that starred Dean Martin. They were on the Dean Martin show, so they certainly got a leg up. But there was some spunk there, and they did write some of their own songs, but not this song. This is a song, as I mentioned, from a 1966 musical, and it's one that John and I have seen on stage a couple of times. Want to tell folks a little bit about It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman?
Yeah, It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman ran 129 performances on Broadway in 1966 and garnered like 3 Tony Award nominations that year. It starred an actor named Bob Holliday as Superman, and it's a musical. It's a open your mouth wide and classic Broadway musical. They took one of the songs, one of Lois Lane's solos, in this case, for Dino, Desi, and Billy, and just heated it up to rock and roll time.
The show itself has more of a sort of Broadway tempo. Actually some terrific songs.
Oh yeah, I love that score. We both love that score.
Oh yeah, we've been singing it for years. I think one of the numbers, You've Got Possibilities, had some life outside of the show.
Yeah, I guess it was like a nightclub standard for a lot of years for a lot of chanteuses out there.
The score was terrific. Plot had the right sense of humor. It was a bit in that sort of tongue-in-cheek Batman mode, but with a lot of heart. I guess it was a disappointment because it went well with the critics, but kind of flopped with the audience.
Yeah, I guess audiences. I mean, there's a vaguely satiric element to it because there's this obscure scientist in Metropolis who decides he wants to destroy Superman's reputation simply because he, the scientist, has lost out on getting the Nobel Prize, 10 times in a row. So he just wants to like ruin Superman to salve his wounded ego. And probably that's a plot line that doesn't quite resonate with a younger audience. But at the same time, it's Superman, so exactly what the audience for this whole thing was supposed to be is sort of openly in question. It's a shame because in a lot of ways it is a very funny show. And as we said, very good score.
And it has lived on. It's done in community theater, or I think we saw a professional production of it. One of the challenges, of course, is always the flying effects. We saw
Right.
a version of it where they used professional stage flying, like I presume they did in the original stage show. But
Yeah.
community theaters have to either sort of tie a rope around the belt of some kid or just have him jump up in the air and walk off stage.
That's generally what happens, in community theater. I've seen it 4 times, 2 professional productions and 2 amateur productions. So everybody approaches it differently. Even with the best sort of stage flying effects, you're somewhat limited.
And the score is obviously living on, and not just thanks to Dino, Desi, and Billy, but partly due to Dino, Desi, and Billy. I hope you enjoyed this little musical interlude from the 60s, and that you'll join us next time. This is Channel Zero TV. I'm John,
And I'm John.
and we will see you next time.